Hello, listeners. This is Kat, and welcome back to Put Your Hands Up Podfics. This will be the continuation of Little Acts of Kindness. This will be Part 85, Chapter 85, entitled Predators. On the other side of the simulated city, another group of the so-called villain team was doing their own mission. They were moving throughout the city, hidden in the darkness of the night, getting closer to their target, the power plant. This wasn't an open attack, though. This was one they wanted to keep on the down low. After all, they had to hold control of the power plant for 24 hours in order to accomplish their goals. So while Ashido and Aoyama robbed a jewelry store, the distraction team, led by Nato, was doing their job and causing chaos. They were pretending to be distracting from what Izuku was doing. Their leader was causing his own chaos, taunting the heroes about their inability to save anyone. Genki knew that their leader was just showing up, being a bit of a nuisance, letting the heroes see him, and then fleeing before they could get close to him, leading them on a goose chase. There was no doubt that the heroes would realize what was going on, but hopefully they would think that they were covering for Aoyama and Ashido. Or even the chaos that the demolition squad was causing, using some of the homemade bombs. Kirishima and Kaibara seemed like they had been having fun earlier that afternoon creating them. They claimed they wanted to save the good stuff for their primary goal, the good stuff being Hatsume's bombs. Denki glanced over to his teammates, Sato and Tsuburaba. They would be helping him to keep control of the power plant once they gained control. To gain control, though, they had the help of the attacking team, Kamakiri and Iwaze. Shishida had been a part of that team but had been taken down, though if needed, others could substitute into the attacking team so long as they weren't needed elsewhere. "Ready?" Denki questioned, glancing at the 4 people under his command. That had been a surprising decision. Izuku had made him his right-hand man. Nato was left. They were the second and third in command. It made him feel warm to realize that Izuku really did trust him and believed in him. So many of their classmates thought he was stupid because of how his quirk fried his brain. They thought he was dumb because Denki didn't like doing schoolwork. He tried to do it, he really did. But he had always been better at learning from demonstrations than from reading a textbook or trying to memorize things. Just because his quirk short-circuited didn't mean he was an idiot. Like many quirks, his quirk had a fail-safe. Him being short-circuited was protecting his brain from the extreme amounts of electricity he was channeling. "Yeah," Tsuburaba said, grinning, as the rest of his current teammates nodded their assent. With that, they began moving, taking down the guards around the power plant quickly and as quietly as possible. Soon, with an acquired keycard, they were entering the building. Quickly they went through, dispatching the robots quietly, so as not to raise any alarm. They left no one alive. Once everyone was killed, they did another sweep of the building, making sure no one else was around. With that done, Denki set up shop in one of the control rooms. He hacked into the computer system and pulled up the status on the screen. He didn't know what the information being displayed meant, but he just had to make sure the power plant kept running until they were ready to shut it down. The only other thing he had to do was hack into the various places at the right times, bringing up the camera feeds to some of the monitors. He nodded. "Thanks for the help, Kamakiri. Iwaze, I think I should be good now." The boy with the mohawk gave a nod. They left, and Denki watched their progress over the computer. Checking how the cameras observed, he made a patrol route for Sato and Tsuburaba. With everything done, he turned on his headset. "Team power to squad control. We're set up." "Understood. Keep an eye on things. Check in every hour," Reen responded. Denki grinned. "Roger, roger," he said. Togaru crossed his arms as he sat in the base. He had been set against having Midoriya as their leader. The boy was too shy. He stuttered too much. While he had a strong quirk, the boy always seemed hesitant. Monoma had defended the other boy, though. Somehow the blonde had some sort of friendship with the kid. Of course, saying such a fact out loud resulted in the blonde protesting, saying they were just rivals. But everyone could see past his defense. Monoma had forced him to make a promise that he would give Midoriya a chance, so reluctantly he did. Surprisingly, the Greenette of Class 1A was a good planner. The plan he created could work, but only if all of them were working together. Trusted each other to do their parts. Togaru didn't trust the others, especially the 1A students. It was even worse when they had suggested that the Greenette make a video that was supposed to be creepy and threatening. Seriously, he couldn't see the shy, socially awkward kid to be anything other than plain-looking. But he had agreed to it, though. If only after they let the kid try, they chose someone else to make the video if the video didn't turn out good. But they had arrived, and the pink-haired girl had brought hair dye. Toguro went with the flow, and the white tips to his hair were pretty cool, but they were here to win the school exercise. He wanted to get on with things, to be able to get to fighting, so he had asked, "So now that we're all dressed up, what's the plan? Or will you step aside and let someone else take over?" Toguro had half expected the boy to actually step aside. He saw the nervousness, the way the kid fidgeted when they looked at him, the hesitation as he spoke his plan. Then Midoriya had closed his eyes, breathing out slowly. The fidgeting came to a stop, and when Midoriya opened his eyes, he was different. Toguro could see it in the way that he held himself, the way his eyes held confidence. Suddenly the kid wasn't weak, trembling prey. He was a predator. The shift had caught his attention, but it was the words Midoriya spoke that held it. "Today, we are here as a team. We're here for a school assignment, one in which our opponents are our friends. Not only that, but they overpower us, and they expect us to roll over or put up almost no fight," Midoriya had said, not a trace of a stutter to be seen. The greenette looked at them, meeting their eyes and holding their gaze for a few moments before moving to the next person. Toguro was surprised and started to think that maybe Midoriya could lead them. "This may be a school assignment, but we're going to take this seriously. They want to label us heroes and villains. They want us to act like the bad guys," Midoriya questioned, and a toothy, villainous grin had came to his face, sending a shiver down Togoro's spine, the hairs on his arms raising. "Then let's be the villains." Midoriya had continued to speak, but it had been the first part that had really impressed Toguro. The way Midoriya was willing to act as the villain the teachers wanted for the school assignment. The boy had gone on about changing society, and it was a nice goal, but Toguro wasn't sure it was something they could accomplish, though it would be nice. His quirk allowed him to create blades from his body. It wasn't particularly flashy, nor was it really something that people thought of as villainous. His quirk was just one of those average quirks. Midoriya's video had also been good, and Toguro was reluctantly impressed by the boy. Midoriya was leading them well, despite the fact that he was so shy, so for now, Toguro would follow him. He would wait and see where this went. Some of his fellow classmates seemed completely on board with the plan, while others were holding reservations. But it was some of the 1A students that surprised him. They seemed to be really getting behind Midoriya's plans. They weren't just talking about the plans for the Civil War. They were also going on about the future. Toguro didn't believe Midoriya could change society. Not yet, anyways. He would wait. He would watch. And when he gathered up more information, he would make his decision. Ojiro watched the screens from where he was sitting. He may have been taken out of the exercise, but he and the others were allowed to watch. He had been taken out during the attack on the Hero Commission, and now was able to watch everything going down. He saw the raid on the power plant, and he saw the way Ashido and Aoyama robbed the jewelry store. He listened to the sounds as she wailed about Aoyama's death. But the most interesting thing for him to watch was Kirishima. He knew from hearing others talk that Kirishima had red hair, but it was hard for him to tell. Both Midoriya and Kirishima had very similar hair colors, though they had distinctive styles. Kirishima was laughing as he and one of the Class B kids threw plastic bottles filled with chemicals that detonated. Seeing a couple of his teammates confront the two villains, he turned the sound on. It was Uraraka and Pony against Kirishima and the Class B kid. "Stop! Surrender, peaceful villain!" Pony said, her Japanese sounding a bit off. Kirishima just laughed. "Surrender? Never! You heroes won't stop me from causing anarchy. Our leader's going to tear the system down, and I'll follow him every step of the way," he said, throwing another one of the bombs, though Ojiro could see that he was running out. Kirishima-san is really starting to get into his role," Shishida said, pushing his glasses up. Ojiro glanced at the boy. "Oh?" Shishida just sent him a smirk. "Sorry, hero. Even though we're dead, I won't give you any information. You'll just have to watch and find out what our leader has planned." He sighed and returned to watching the screen. Kirishima was speaking again. "And I'll bring anarchy. I'll show you all the awesome manliness that's a hardening quirk. Throw whatever you can at me, I'll take it and keep pushing through. Nothing'll hold me down. Uraraka threw a handful of rocks from the floor, charging at him as she did so. Then I'll just have to stop you. Kirishima caught a few of them in his hand, dodging out of the way. Ojiro saw his quirk activate around his hand, and then it was gone, and Kirishima grinned, his sharp, shark-like teeth glinting. You can try, but I'm going to crush you, just like the pebble you threw. And with that he opened his hand, and broken pieces of the rock clattered to the ground. Ojiro sighed. Why is everyone on your team acting so... well? Shishida chuckled. Because of our leader. If he's going to do his best to act like a villain mastermind in order to scare our opponents, then we will as well. The school wanted us to be the bad guys, you wanted us to be the villains, so we'll be your villains. We'll show you why it's the person who matters, not the quirk. The Class B student fell silent for a moment, then murmured. Those of us with mutation quirks shouldn't be considered mere animals. We have intelligence, we're human. We're not monsters, we're not filthy beasts. Ojiro swallowed, looking at his fellow hero student. Did people seriously treat others like that? Ojiro had never had an issue with his quirk. Really, people only overlooked him because he was so plain-looking. He didn't stand out in a crowd. But Shishida's voice had pain, the kind that spoke of personal experience. Our leader wants to change society, and I plan on helping him. What will you do when this exercise is over? Will you bury your head and continue to let our society stagnate? Or will you help us create a better society? Shishida questioned, glancing at him. And Ojiro found he didn't know what to say, didn't have an answer, because this wasn't a matter of a simple school exercise. Shishida was speaking about actually changing society. All right, listeners, this concludes Chapter 85 of Little Acts of Kindness. Chapter 86 will be up next. Let me know your thoughts and reactions to everything so far. I like this chapter because I think it's great the author continues to give us these shifting POVs of different characters on the villain team that have seen Izuku's speech and how it had an impact. But we're also getting the perspective of some of the heroes as well, as they start to buy into what Izuku's trying to fight for. Let me know your thoughts and reactions, though, in the comments below, and as always, thank you all so much for listening.